Mikey Moore Ballon d'Or. It's got quite a good ring to it, that, hasn't it? Welcome back to the Ben Bowman YouTube channel. I hope you are doing well. In this video, we're going to be breaking down exactly what we learned from Ferencvaros 1, Tottenham Hotspur 2. Spurs make it 2 wins out of 2 in the Europa League phase and 5 wins out of 5 now in all competitions, building some serious momentum going into the international break. In this video, we're going to be talking about Mikey Moore in detail. The 17-year-old was sensational in his first start for Spurs yesterday. We're going to be talking about how Spurs set up, that blend of youth and experience that Ange went with yesterday that helped us get over the line in that tricky away game. We're going to be talking about Lankshear, who started through the middle yesterday, Brennan as well, who's made it 5 goals in 5 games in 5 wins for Spurs. So integral to what we've been doing in the last 5. Brilliant run of form for him. So let's start with how Spurs set up. Let's take a look at the average positions as well. Obviously went with Yves Bissouma, Pat Matasar and Lucas Bergvall in midfield. Again, that blend of youth and experience that we were talking about, the same midfield that we saw against Qarabag. I thought it was a really incredibly disciplined performance from Yves Bissouma yesterday. I was critical of him on the ball in the last game against Qarabag, but he was so destructive yesterday, and the way that he helped us break forward once he broke the play up and won the ball back for Spurs was brilliant. Lucas Bergvall didn't have his best game for Spurs yesterday. I still think he's struggling a little bit out of possession and to come up with the physical aspect of what Ange Postecoglou is asking him to do, but he will get there 100%. And Pat Matasar, 2 goals in 2 games for him in the Europa League. I want to talk about Pedro Porro's performance as well, because my word, look at that heat map. He was up and down that right-hand side yesterday. Brilliant defensively and very, very good going forward as well. Hugging that touchline and allowing Mikey Moore to drift inside into these central areas, as you can see here. Obviously, Timo Werner started on that left-hand side. Another miss for him. We're going to talk about that later on. But I want to start with Mikey Moore. There is only one place to start, really, because my word, yesterday, he was absolutely sensational out on this right-hand side. So good at dribbling in these tight areas. Not just with the low socks, but he's got that Grealish vibe about him. Very hard to get off the ball. Wins a lot of free kicks as well. Just glided around that pitch yesterday. Some stats for Mikey quickly before we get into some examples of what I thought he did really well. 60 touches, showed how influential he was in the game. 9 progressive passes, 7 progressive passes, 6 attempted dribbles, 4 passes into the penalty area, 6 penalty area touches, and 3 carries into the penalty area. All of those stats were a team high for Spurs yesterday. He did the most in terms of those stats out of any other player in the team. 1 key pass as well, 1 big chance created, which we'll come to. 6 out of 14 ground duels, 80% pass accuracy, 1 shot on target, which was that effort from outside the box. Brilliant ball striking ability that he's got as well. Only 1 out of 6 successful take-ons, which was a bit of a shame, but all of the other aspects of his game were top-notch yesterday, and he made 1 tackle as well. Out on this right-hand side then, wins so many little free kicks like this because he just lures defenders in, and he's got that quick burst of pace. He's not exactly the quickest in transition, Mikey Moore, but he's got that little burst. He lures defenders in and then just gets away and rides the tackle and wins free kicks. Again here yesterday, another example of this. Coming in off that right-hand side when Spurs are building out from the back. He will slow the ball down, and he's confident enough to get in between 2 men here. Ride that tackle, nick it off that man, and get around him. And again, drives forward here. If I just hide myself here, you can see Lankshear is in a great position there if Mikey's just able to get that out of his feet and play that ball through. But he decides to take the man on again, gets past him, and wins another free kick. So hard to get the ball off. Again, out here on this right-hand side, let me just move this over a little bit so you can see Mikey Moore in frame there. I love the link-up that he had with Pedro Porro yesterday and Pat Matasar as well down that right-hand side. Lily White Lab did a really good thread talking about Brennan and Dejan Kulusevski, and you might think that I'm going a little bit off topic here, but just hear me out for a second. We'll come back and talk about Brennan later. Brennan is thriving at the moment because of the central positions that Dejan Kulusevski is finding himself in. However, I think when you've got a right winger in Mikey Moore that wants to come inside a lot of the time and drift inside, I think that's going to bring the best out of Pat Matasar in these European games because he can run into the channel and make those off-the-ball runs that he does so well. Obviously got his goal, of course. And I've got some examples of that, actually, that I want to talk about when we go to the tactics board here. So many times Mikey Moore would find himself in this right-hand side position and drive inside. That would allow Pat Matasar to kind of make this run in here, and then Moore would either be able to find him or could sort of dribble up the line and use Sarr as a bit of a decoy, push that defence back, and there will be so many opportunities, and we've got some examples of this that I'm going to talk about. Sarr's decoy run would take the defenders away. Mikey Moore would just be able to play this pass back in here to Pedro Porro, and Pedro Porro's got a great crossing opportunity to Lankshear. And there was a couple of examples of how that worked really well. Either that or Mikey Moore would find the run of Pat Matasar himself in there, and you get good opportunities from that as well. So I think that more on the right wing, Pat Matasar on that right-hand-sided centre-mid role is going to work quite well for Spurs in the Europa League. And we've got an example of that here. Again, Mikey, lovely little ball to Pat Matassar. The Spurs are able to recycle. Mikey works it back to Porro, who's got a great crossing opportunity. And he's great at delivering the ball from these positions. I thought Pedro Porro was excellent yesterday. Really disciplined defensively. I don't think he could have done too much about their goal at the end of the game. It was a brilliant cross, which we'll come on and talk about a little bit later. Just looked like a really experienced head in the game, which I thought was really, really good. Obviously, we had Romero out on the pitch as well. Ben Davis as well. A lot of experience in that back line. Vicario, who I want to talk about as well shortly. But I thought Pedro Porro's link up, especially with a 17-year-old down that right-hand side, showed real maturity and really helped him out. And they combined really well, just as I showed in this example here. Again, another breakaway for Tottenham. Lovely little ball from Will Lankshear. Mikey, again, is able to get the Spurs up the pitch and win a free kick, riding those tackles really well. Again, here you've got another example of Pedro Porro and Mikey Moore's link-up. Bergvall into Moore. Lovely first-time pass between the legs. And Pedro Porro gets into a decent position off the back of it as well. Again, Moore out here on the right-hand side. I've had to move myself over so you can see that a little bit better. Drives inside. Again, Bergvall now floating into these positions that we were talking about with Pat Matassar. He's able to lay that ball off back first time to Pedro Porro. He could get that cross in first time, but I think he knows that Will Lankshear's probably just gone a little bit too early with his run there. But that combination play down that right-hand side, I thought was excellent from Mikey Moore and Pedro Porro yesterday. Really, really pleased with that. And I thought Mikey Moore absolutely shone and obviously was involved in the first goal, which we'll come on and talk about now. Pat Matassar makes it 2 goals in 2 games in the Europa League. Mikey Moore again driving in from that right-hand side. Let me just hide myself here. Mikey Moore again driving in from that right-hand side. You can see Will Lankshear pointing exactly where he wants it. Keeps driving. Is able to poke that ball out of his feet. Lankshear is able to battle with the centre-back, get his body across. Bergvall then comes in there and makes a nuisance of himself. And Pat Matassar is there in the box to find the finish and fire it home. Again, Mikey involved in the second goal as well on this left-hand side now, where I actually do prefer Mikey. It's where he's played more of his football at Spurs in the youth teams. And he's able to sort of float into more central areas in that position. Again, I sort of spoke about Jack Grealish earlier, giving me very similar vibes to him. I think with a more low centre of gravity, but his strength in the tackle, or ability to ride the tackle, I think he's quite similar to Grealish. Obviously with the low socks as well, helps with the vibe. Mikey here drives inside. Lovely ball, lovely way to pass to Dom Solanke. And let's talk about Brennan Johnson, because he obviously gets on the end of this move and finishes it. But my word, he is just playing with so much confidence right now. Ben Davis plays this ball out from the back. This is within the first few minutes of Johnson coming on. And Dejan Kulusevski is making this little flick round the corner a trademark of his. How many times has he done that this season? He did it at Old Trafford on Sunday, nearly led to a goal with Maddison. Archie Gray as well. I want to talk about Gray because I think he looks so much better when he moved to left back in that second half. Really comfortable coming into those inverted positions. I thought there were some really nice moments from him on the ball as well, playing out from the back. There was a lovely little back heel and combination play down there that he was able to get out. But here you can see that driving run. And I actually think sometimes having a right-footed player like Spence or like Gray coming off the line into these inverted areas from left back is actually really helpful because it allows him to drive right into the centre of the pitch, open the pitch up. And again, here, if I just move myself here, finds Brennan Johnson. And how many times would you see Brennan Johnson in this position that he's about to get into take a touch and slow down? No, cuts across it first time with the shot and rattles the crossbar. So unlucky. But you just felt as if he was going to get himself a goal when he came on, showing that confidence straight away, straight off the bat. Solanke's ball there gets cut out. But Maddison, again, I talked about his off-the-ball work, how much I think that's improved this season, definitely. Anticipates that, finds Johnson, and again, Kulusevski, we spoke about his flick to set Gray away, but his movement here off the ball, just to open up that space and for allow Brennan Johnson to come on inside onto his left foot and finish it in off the post to make it 2-0. So happy for Brennan. So happy for him. He really does deserve it. 5 goals in 5 games. I think only one player in the Premier League has had more touches than him in the opposition box. Ange Postecoglou is getting the best out of him with Kulusevski moving inside. I think that's a video for another day. But he did brilliantly there for that goal yesterday. Shown so much confidence, come inside onto his left foot. And like I said, so much confidence with this chance just prior to strike that ball first time and hit the crossbar. Brilliant from him. And Spurs 2-0 up. But it could and should have been more. Speaking of more, Mikey Moore again involved in this breakaway from Spurs. And I don't think Mikey Moore could do anything more here. Let me just move myself over so you can see this a bit better. Moore, perfect weight of passing to Timo Werner. And look, I don't want to be too negative on Werner, but the thing is, with Son Heung-Min out against Brighton on Sunday, it looks like that's going to be the case. Werner is going to play. I'd imagine Werner is going to play. Brighton play a high line. Again, we're going to be previewing that game tomorrow on the channel, so we'll talk about that in a bit more detail. Spurs can get the best out of Timo Werner against Brighton by using his pace, using his timing of the run to get in behind and expose that high line. But it's no good exposing that high line if you show the lack of calmness in these finishing positions like Timo Werner has done in the last couple of games at Old Trafford and here against Ferencvaros. It's just the decision-making. Mikey Moore puts that on a plate for him. He has to open his body up that little bit more and hit that first time. He tries the hardest thing, which is to go around the goalkeeper and completely shuts off the angle for himself and hits the side netting. And you look here, if I just move this frame across, you can see Will Lankshear here fuming with Werner, because if he hasn't got the confidence to take that on himself, he probably can just cut that back and find Will Lankshear, who I thought had a really promising debut yesterday. Could have had a goal himself. Corner comes in here. Great strength to shrug off the man. Gets the volley away, hits it into the ground, and it just misses narrowly. He's so impressive physically. He grew into the game. Obviously, he had that chance as well in the first half, where Timo Werner actually put a brilliant cross in for him, where he went to head it, just came off his shoulder, but he really grew into the game. That link up with Mikey Moore as well, I thought was really encouraging. And his physicality. I think you just get that immediate vibe straight away that I think he's going to be more suited than Alao Veliz, more suited than Dane Scarlett. For someone who's not played professional minutes for Spurs yet, Mikey Moore has and has showed glimpses, of course. Will Lankshear hasn't played a minute for Spurs yet, and I thought that was a really impressive debut in that context. So I was really pleased, really pleased with Will yesterday. Physicality, strong like an ox, built so well. So really impressed with him. Let's come on and talk about some of the stuff that didn't go so well for Spurs and how we had to be bailed out by Guillermo Vicario on a couple of occasions, which wasn't ideal. But sometimes this happens. Look, when you go away to these kind of places, it's never going to be easy. Spurs' away record in Europe is horrific, really. And you're going to need your goalkeeper to come up with saves like this, and you're going to have to get away sometimes. With moments like this, obviously with the disallowed goal that could have put us 1-0 down. Spurs did start sloppily at the back. If I just hide myself again here, you can see that Spurs leaving that man free at the back post to run in and score. But again, if you actually look at it, he is marginally offside. Look, Romero steps back maybe a little bit too far. Other than that, Spurs hold the line pretty decently. And he is offside. It's very tight. I couldn't believe it. But it wasn't going to be easy for Spurs. Look, Ferencvaros were no mugs, no pushovers by any stretch of the imagination. And Tottenham are actually the first English side to beat Ferencvaros on their home ground in a major European competition since Leeds did it in 1969. And who was playing for that day? Who was playing for Leeds that day? Archie Gray's great uncle, Eddie. That was 55 years ago. And if you put that in amongst Spurs' horrible away record in Europe, you're going to have to sometimes rely on big moments from your goalkeeper. It's never going to be easy, even though you should be beating these sort of sides. Vicario, I don't think we can play a game in this competition without him. Again here, incredible save in the second half as well. Just tips it round, gets a fingertip on that. But that save in the first half was so impressive from close range, from pinpoint close range. I don't know how he keeps that out. Like I said, Spurs' defending at times was a little bit porous yesterday, allowing chances for Ferencvaros. But like I said, we dug in there well. We worked hard. It was a satisfying victory. And to win when you're not playing at your best, but still look that good going forward and give moments and give opportunities to your youngsters is only going to benefit the team. And that confidence, another win, that momentum, 5 in 5 now. But of course, they did get their goal towards the end of the game. Great crossing from the left-hand side. I don't think Spurs can do too much about this defensively, although I don't think Romero and Davis will be happy that they let the striker Varga in between them to finish. But it was a good finish, and if we're being honest, they probably deserved the goal out of the game. I think Spurs still deserved the victory when you look at sort of the chances created and the possession that we had. 58% possession. Spurs dominated with the ball for the most part, created 3 big chances, had 17 total shots, forced 5 saves from the goalkeeper. So look, I think Spurs did deserve it. There were shaky moments, 100%, but we got over the line and won away in Europe for the first time in a while, and that is a good feeling. I think Ange will be very satisfied, because I think there'll be a lot of fans that might have thought this team selection was that little bit too risky, but I think Mikey Moore and Will Lankshear have proved how big of an asset that they can both be to this team going forward. Lucas Bergvall, a lot to work on, but he as well will be a big asset for Spurs this season and in the future. But I was so impressed with Mikey Moore yesterday and so impressed with Will Lankshear. That's where I'm going to leave the video today, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. 2 wins out of 2 for Spurs in the Europa League. 5 wins out of 5 in all competitions. And a star has been born in this lad, Mikey Moore. Mikey Moore, what a player. Like I said at the start of the video, Mikey Moore Ballon d'Or's got quite a good ring to it. Quite a good ring to it. We might be going a little bit overboard with that, of course, but we know we've got talent on our hands. I think Spurs have really found the solution to their wide areas in the future for the long term. I think Spurs, as HTO MUFC on Twitter said yesterday, Spurs have their wide combination play / creator right there waiting in the wings when the time is right. And that is Mikey Moore. Excellent combination play, brilliant bravery on the ball as well, great dribbling, great close control. Mikey Moore is going to be a superstar. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed it, and up the Spurs. Nice one.